We're live on a Monday. You might be listening a little bit later. This is ForceCenter, a show about Star Wars, pop culture, and the ultimate adventure, life itself. I'm Ken Knapsack.
I'm Joseph Scrimshaw, and if you are watching on YouTube, I want to let you know right away that this drink is ginger beer, not whiskey in the middle of the afternoon on Monday.
I wouldn't question it. I wouldn't question it at all.
Yeah, I had one general meeting for like a writing job where I had a little ginger beer, and I saw it in their eyes halfway through of like, we're not hiring this drunk. They're like, oh, it's ginger beer. It's ginger beer. It's ginger beer.
You got to do what you got to do. I'm having just a little, I love sparkling ice drinks, but they got these little sparkling ice minis. Just nice. A little adorable kid. It's just wonderful. Got some big Star Wars news to continue discussing from last week's live episode on Friday. We also want to thank all of you that really just stepped up, warmed our heart on our charity stream Friday for the two great organizations doing work on the ground in Minnesota, in Minneapolis, St. Paul, all that. You guys really you showed up, and we really appreciate it.
Absolutely. And like I said on the live stream, obviously the money is needed as everybody in Minnesota bands together to help one another and protect people who need protection and to keep the economy going while restaurants have to shut down and people can't leave their houses. All that stuff, the money does really help, which is why we did it. But it is also about the awareness and about making the people in Minnesota feel like they aren't alone. And I posted on my Facebook about the money that we raised and about, communicating to folks what's really going on there and how much everyone in the live stream shared their support. And I think a lot of people in Minnesota really need that vote of confidence from outside to keep going. So thank you all for giving that.
Absolutely. Jennifer Lando should join here in a little bit for some Star Wars news. Thanks again for all that you do here in the ForceCenter community. We really appreciate that. A little life adventure, I guess. Oh, well, also, hey, as always, we'll talk. That was nice stuff. We'll talk a little business. Today's podcast is, as always, brought to you by our merch shop on Fourth Wall. Check out our merch store. Pick up a T-shirt, pint glass, coaster, coffee mug, something to help support the show and represent ForceCenter out in the galaxy. You can go to a link directly, ForceCenter-shop.fourthwall.com, ForceCenter-shop.fourthwall.com. If you're watching on YouTube, links down below. Our TeePublic shop is still open. We just don't use it as much. So check out that. We are also still cooking along here on YouTube, Joseph.
That is right. We are working away on YouTube. So if you would like to join us, if you're listening, but want to check out YouTube, feel free to join us there. We also just want to do a general highlight of our Patreon, which we haven't done in a while. Because we realize it is a very difficult time financially for everyone. And we're all kind of, it feels like most of America is mutual aid, GoFundMe's helping each other out. So it feels gross to be like Patreon. But Ken and I want to keep doing this and want to keep growing if at all possible. So we're not building to any sort of goals. We just want to highlight for anybody who might want to check it out that we have a Patreon. And some of the things that gets everybody is you get access to our Discord where people can discuss Star Wars in a safe environment. We do call-in shows where patrons can call in. There's some exclusive merch that you can get through the Patreon. And we are going to be getting back to taking written questions on Patreon and doing episodes about those written questions. And if you're a patron, you get to ask those questions as well. So those are some of the highlights of checking out ForceCenter on Patreon.
It is indeed. Like I said, Jennifer Lando's trying to get in here. Some stuff she's working on right now. So we'll always do here. It's our first show of the week with all of you. We'll catch up on a little Star Wars, a.k.a. Life Adventures, a.k.a. Star Wars Crashed Into Our Life. You and I were putting together, we just recorded an episode will come out Wednesday, our first in a new series, our favorite scenes in, and we got favorite scenes in The Phantom Menace. So it was probably a good chance for both of us to revisit The Phantom Menace. But was that the only Star Wars life adventure you had?
No, I also had a life adventure that spiraled out of you and I talking about the documentary, The Beginning, the Phantom Menace one, which I haven't watched in its entirety in years. So I thought, well, this is great. I love physical media. The film I made is about physical media. I'm going to sit down and watch it because I don't think it is on Disney Plus. I couldn't find it on the Blu-rays. The internet claims it's there. But those menus are a torture test. And then I realized that I had put my original Phantom Menace DVD that has the beginning on it in my storage space. So my Star Wars adventure was, I can watch like 15 minutes of the documentary at the beginning while I'm eating lunch. An hour later, my lunch freezing cold. I was just frustrated. So then I ended up watching some of it where it is available on YouTube. And man, it's really amazing to see that again after all these years. And, you know, when I saw that in the early 2000s, Doug Chang and John Knoll were the fresh-faced new people. Are they as, you know, cool as Ralph McQuarrie and you know, Dykstra and all that? And now to see them so young and they are such legends of Star Wars is very cool. Lots of cool stuff in that doc.
Yeah, I intended to rewatch it and got a little wrapped up and busy. So I'm going to do it as well. Still one of my favorites. Good adventure. Good adventure. Yeah, for me, a little revisiting Phantom Menace, which was always good. Then I will shout out, I am watching, I know they dumped all the episodes at once, but I am watching Ponies, which is Emilia Clarke's new show, along with Haley Richardson and others. We always love supporting Kira out in the wild, outside the bounds of Star Wars. Hershey's done some other things with dragons and Christmas movies, which we enjoy all here too as well. But Ponies is kind of fun. Cold War era kind of drama, a little comedy. She's really funny. You pointed it out too. Like she is really a funny performer, and obviously that's not on full display in Game of Thrones. There are some moments, but a little different. And it last Christmas it's on display, and this even in drama, she's got the most expressive face. So it's been fun to watch Emilia Clarke do her work outside of Star Wars.
Yeah, I did a double take when that one came across my screen. So I'm gonna make time for some Cold War Kira comedy.
Cold War Kira comedy. All right. Well, let's go ahead and get into some Star Wars news here. As I said, on Friday, we discussed the big giant news that Kathleen Kennedy stepping down as president of Lucasfilm, as expected, as talked about, and as planned for a couple of years. Lin-Wen Brennan, Dave Filoni taking over both sides of the coin there. So you can click to that episode and find our more immediate hot takes, if you will, and discussion about that. But there was a great Kathleen Kennedy article in Deadline, kind of an exit interview, like literally like an exit interview. Like, can you tell us how your experience was at this job? Joseph, we're going to go through that.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Just want to shout out a couple chats real quick. People are very supportive of me day drinking. Thank you, everyone. I'm not day drinking, but a lot of people are like, well, our friend Chris Ryan says, in this world, drink up, man.
Drink up, man.
Appreciate the support for me and my day drinking, which I'm not doing, but I could with full support of the chat if I wanted to.
I don't know.
Yeah. Also,
just in time. Go ahead.
Important Emilia Clarke news. Dennis Gill says, a friend of mine ran into her in London one time, and she was super nice. Speaking of someone who's super nice.
Yes. Jennifer Landis here. Oh, you're muted, Jen. There you go.
I am broadcasting live from Coruscant, my background, because I did not have time to put up my other background. So apologies.
You look like a big city journalist.
I love it.
Great stuff. All right.
Yes.
On to the news, huh?
Yes.
Let's do it.
Okay. So we're going to talk about the specific Kathleen Kennedy article in Deadline, which was framed as an exit interview. She gave the interview, I think, right after the wrap party for the filming of Starfighter. But there's tons of interesting stuff in this Kathleen Kennedy article. We're mostly going to zero in because there's so much on her very direct, blunt rundown of Star Wars film projects and where they stand. But before we get into that, Jennifer, do you have any general thoughts on the article on Kathleen Kennedy's move back into active producing of individual films?
I think it's wonderful because I thought it was going to be, I'm retired and done. No, absolutely not. She certainly could retire, considering her legacy. And obviously, like, as we get older, people want to take time to do what they want. Well, she wants to make more movies and really be in the trenches as a producer, which, I forget, like, being an executive is very, very different and not really, I think, her nature. She likes to make things. I think she said that a few times. So
Mhm.
good for her. I'm glad. She's gonna
Mm.
continue doing what she loves, which is making movies.
Mhm. Yeah, I really agree. I think the other thing in the article that really grabbed me is the way that she described what is difference between kind of being a producer and actively making a film versus being the head of the studio where she is involved in helping to make films actively, but that she described making a film actively is this excitement of being in the moment and all these decisions that need to be made. And and I know from experience that really does make you feel alive, even though it's stressful. It's just, in some ways, it takes the stress out of it, because like you don't have time to worry too much. A decision is in front of you and you have to make it. um and describing that actively making a film is like being in the moment, where being the head of a studio is always worrying about the past and the future. I thought that was such an accurate, interesting, and very Star Warsy
Mm.
kind of thing. It's like I think Kathleen's been looking at some Qui-Gon appreciation videos and being like, "Yep, in the moment, in the moment, in the moment matters." So I thought that was great. Ken, do you have any big picture thoughts on the article, or anything else you wanted to share about Kathleen Kennedy's, I don't want to say retirement, stepping away from the studio?
No, I'm excited to dive in. I think there's she did this recently as well when she kind of, it goes for the most part directly. I think she doesn't like come out and name names, and either above or in the YouTube world. But what I kind of like when Kathleen has this like, can you bring your recorder over here and your notepad? We're going to talk about some things, and I'm aware of some stuff going on, so I appreciate that. And I echo what Jen said, and even Molly Dave in the chat. Like, I'm excited for her to go just make some movies again, as we talked about on Friday.
Mm-hmm. And Jen, because you weren't able to join us on Friday, any thoughts on the new co-heads of the studio, Dave Filoni and Lin-Wyn Brennan?
No, Lin-Wyn Brennan is an excellent choice, and Kathleen Kennedy made it a point to say, like, she has been running the business alongside her. I think
Mhm.
Dave Filoni was a natural choice. It's interesting how she talks about, like, but he is new to live action still, in some sense. I mean, obviously, like, we know he's done Ahsoka and things like that, but this has been a process to kind of get him to where he needs to be in charge. He is an walking encyclopedia, as she said, right, of Star Wars knowledge. It was mentored under George, but he does come from animation, and now he's going to be in charge of all of Star Wars. So it's good that it takes two people to replace her.
Mhm.
That's kind of great, right?
Yeah. Yeah, another thing I was thinking about with Filoni that we didn't talk about on Friday is I think he's in this good place where he understands the kind of all-in fan community well, and
Mhm.
what people care about and what they know about. But he also, I don't think, lets that lead him around by the nose. He still does what he wants, and I think sometimes he knows, like, ooh, I'm going to tweak this canon backstory, and some people aren't going to like it. And I think it's great to have a balance of, I'm very aware of what the fandom thinks, but this needs to be a creator first led thing, and not just, Star Wars run by a committee of millions of people with different opinions.
Mhm.
Indeed.
All right, let's dive into this specific article. Here's the text of Kathleen Kennedy talking about risk-taking in Star Wars. Then we'll get to the individual films she talks about. She says, I remember when I came into this job, the first thing Bob Iger said to me was, be bold. I've always liked that, because I think you have to be bold and you have to be willing to take risks with people and with ideas. Otherwise, you're just doing the same thing. Right now, we're in an era where companies are so risk averse, and I get it. I hear all the conversations. They've got Wall Street to please, and I get it. But I also believe that's what contributes to things disappearing ultimately. I just think you have to take those chances. Everything I just reeled off, she says, meaning all the projects that are kind of in limbo, is taking a bit of a chance, because none of those filmmakers are just walking in trying to do the same old, same old. I'm excited by that, but the studio's nervous about that. And that's kind of where it sits at the moment. So we will talk about each of the individual projects that she gave the update on. But in some ways, I think it's this passage that does feel a little like I'm walking out the door saying what I mean, that fans have been surprised and excited by. So I wanted to start with that. Jen, what's your big picture reaction to the way she's talking about risk? And do you think she's right that Star Wars should be taking more risks?
I think that many of us want Star Wars to take more risks, but as we have seen with projects like The Acolyte, Taking risks with Star Wars is very tricky. Some might say that Andor is a risk. I personally don't think so because I think that Rogue One primed the pump for that kind of genre of storytelling, right? So it's complicated. The risk, air quotes, still has to fit the old vibe and, dare I say, nostalgia of Star Wars. That is the challenge, right? She mentioned Ryan Coogler in the article, or the interviewer brought him up, and she's like, Ryan Coogler is great, but he wants to tell different types of stories. You have to have a filmmaker who can come in and work within the Star Wars framework, but still have something that they want to say, something personal, which is, what we're getting supposedly with Sean Levy. I would love Star Wars to take more risks, but personally, I don't think it's going to happen yet.
Interesting. Yeah, I think Ken, what are your thoughts on taking more risks and her kind of making this statement at all?
Yeah. Sorry, and I just was banning someone from the chat. Banhammer's swinging wildly these days, folks. It's not about your opinions; it's the way in which you express them. All right, it's all right. Good, we good, we're good. So I'm always of two minds here, and I have to be careful how I phrase it. Yeah, of course I want risks. Of course I want something bold and all those kind of things. But there's so many people who watch Star Wars. So what's a risk to others is not or what's celebrated as a risk is not something that other people enjoy. And as much as we here, maybe in the ForceCenter community, want boundary pushing stories, and there's a lot of folks that just love to go watch 3 acts play out on a screen in 90 minutes and a lot of zoom, and that's part of the challenge of the job. And then also there's also the realities of business that I think you can hate, and I don't like them, and I don't like shareholder value being leveraged, and I don't, a lot of people are correctly upset when Adam Driver's out there like, yeah, we had a script, Soderbergh had a script, and Disney liked it, Kathy liked it, and Bob Iger and Alan Bergman were like, nah. Yeah, that's frustrating. That's frustrating. So I'm not here to defend anyone in the C-suite, but there's also just some realities that you can't, whether you want to fight them or not, they're going to be there. They're going to be there, and I carry that forward when I think of the future of the films. It doesn't mean I want to play it safe. I hearing Sean Levy talk about how personal story is, that does not mean it's necessarily going to be safe in a boring way, but it's going to be. You got Ryan Gosling, you got Sean Levy, who brings in films under budget and on time. That's a safe bet. That's not sexy, and we as artists sometimes want to buck that trend or buck up against that. I can, from doing stand up in clubs, if you try something a little different and it's not an audience that knows who you are, a lot of the audience is like, this, what's this? We came here for jokes, clown, dance. And I just, so I don't know if any of that makes sense, but yes, I want bold risks, but I just don't think it's always going to be reality for big budget filmmaking.
Mm-hmm.
And you got to find ways to put it in there to risk the risk being in the bigger structure.
Yeah, I think when an audience hears risk, we always imagine the film that we're going to like. So my instinct is always like, yes, take a risk, because in my mind, it means you make this cool horror film that I'll like. And I do think it is showing its business, and it is incumbent on the business to ask themselves about but how let's put out the Taika comedy movie. Let's look at other. How many people come to comedy movies? How much of the Star Wars audience do we think we might lose because they're not interested in a comedy Star Wars? Now, what's the budget? Is it low enough? What's the angle? Do we have an angle? You got to do all that to mitigate risk. But that to me is the difference. You have to do it to mitigate risk. And I think what's going on is people lie to themselves that they can control risk. It is a Star Wars story about what you can and cannot control. And I think what we're seeing across Hollywood, but also with Star Wars, is an illusion, a lie that you can control risk, because making a big budget film of any kind is a risk. You were saying this, Jennifer. Okay, let's say you set out to make, in terms of storytelling, the safest Star Wars story ever. There's all sorts of different fans. Nobody. It's funny when people say Rise of Skywalker was pandering to the fans. Like, well, which subsection of fans? Because what you hear from, I feel like almost the majority of fans is many people hate Rise of Skywalker with the whole heart because they think it was pandering to fans. Telling any story is a risk, and I think the only thing you can do is mitigate it by believing in the story, looking at the numbers, and looking at what can you control. I have very high hopes that Mando and Grogu is going to be a great film, that Starfighter is going to be a great film, and that they're going to be honest stories told by people who have their whole heart in the story and believe in the story. But I think some of this conversation isn't about what the story is. I think some of this is about who is making the story. And I think that Disney decided to play it safe by having known creators, which is great, but also specifically having white men. And I think the risk that they do need to take is like they were beginning to do, is let different people tell stories from their perspective. That's the risk that I think right now it is incumbent upon them to take.
Indeed.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we'll talk about the list. I think we're going to get to that next. I'll save it.
Okay. Fair enough. All right. So here is the list of projects and where they started. Kathleen Kennedy says, "I've got to tread a bit carefully here," and then we can decide whether she does or not. I've got to tread a bit carefully here. Jim Mangold and Bo Williman wrote an incredible script, but it is definitely breaking the mold, and it's on hold. Taika has turned in a script, and I think is hilarious and great. It's not just my decision, especially when I've got a foot out the door. Donald Glover has turned in a script, and as you have read, Steve Soderbergh and Adam Driver turned in a script written by Scott Burns. It was just great. On Simon Kinberg's trilogy, he's working right now. He wrote something that we read in August, and it was very good, but not there. We've pretty much upended the story and then spent a great deal of time on the treatment, which you finished literally about 4 weeks ago, and it's a very detailed treatment, like 70 pages. So he is expected to give us something in March. A film script is often about 100 to 110 pages, so 70-page outline or treatment, not even an outline, a treatment is huge. And here's what Kathleen Kennedy said on what's likely to get made. She said, Mangold's is really on the back burner, as is Soderbergh's. I think the ones by Taika and Donald are still somewhat alive. That's going to really be up to the new team to figure out. Dave, I know that Dave and Linwin are very much on board with what Simon's doing, meaning the trilogy, and that would be a new trilogy. In the timeline of things, that takes you well into 2030 plus. So that's really what's up next. All right. Keep teasing. We'll get into each project one by one. But noticeably absent in this list is the Rey and New Jedi Order film and the mention of the previously attached director, Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy. Ken, how are you feeling about not hearing about that? And what's your reading of the tea leaves? Do you think it's been folded into Simon Kinberg's trilogy, or Kathleen just forgot to mention that one, or what?
I think kind of forgot. I honestly kind of forgot to mention that one. I waffle on the rumors you hear about the Kinberg thing because that kind of makes some sort of sense in a way, but that's also assuming a lot about the Kinberg trilogy. I like what you said here about 2030s because I go back to one of my original reactions to that news of his trilogy was this is Star Wars for the next generation. Like this isn't, I might be in my 60s when that comes out. So it's not even about me. It's about how do we keep this thing going into the future. I wish she had said something about that. You know what I mean? Like, so even if I'm thinking, there's a lot going on, this interview's going on, and she didn't say it, that happens. That happens sometimes. But I would like to hear. I'd like to have confirmation about this because we love this character here, and so many people want more of that story. But Daisy's out there talking about it. Daisy's saying things about it. It might almost shoot. It might go on. So I trust her just as much as I would trust Kathleen if she had said it. So, but I have a worry, and I have a worry because we're going to go into individual projects and the history of getting things made on screen in Star Wars for the big screen. So that at the end of the day, I think that I just see it through that. I have a little bit of fear because the fear has been very, real and founded, not unfounded, founded in the past about projects.
Yeah. Jennifer, the chat's excited just by your facial expressions and head shaking. So Where are you at with this?
Oh my gosh, you guys! When I read this, I'm like, oh, she she forgot clearly. Then when the interviewer circled back toward a little bit later and was like, "Are you sure? There's nothing else we missed? Maybe he was like, I don't want to forget anything." And she's like, "Nope, that's right." And again, relists it. I'm like, "Oh shoot." To me, that thinks in terms of memory and how we remember things, right? This means that they have been actively working to, in my opinion, this is total speculation, to fold that storyline into Kinberg or elsewhere. I don't know. I don't know where else it could be. But the fact that it means that no meetings have been happening with Sharmeen Obed-Shamroy. In my opinion, it means that relationship is done. That chapter is closed. And in her mind, the Rey story is now such a big part of the Kinberg trilogy that oh yeah, in her mind, this is all still alive and well. But for those of us, we're like, where is the separate mention? Where is this Rey standalone film? It is, I don't know what to think about it. Because like somebody mentioned, is this Addie, the professor? Who is this? Professor of more things? Dr. Professor.
Addie.
Yeah,
Addie.
this it was so weird because I felt like the Rey movie was the one closest to Kennedy's attention in terms of future projects. I 100% agree. She went on record multiple times to talk about the lunches that she had with Daisy Ridley, or maybe it was Daisy Ridley who mentioned it. They were very, very open and transparent, letting fans know, don't worry, it's coming. Don't worry, kids who are cosplaying as Rey. Rey is one of the most popular characters from the sequel trilogy. Kids are clamoring to see her in Galaxy's Edge, which we'll talk about. So it's shocking to me that she is not mentioned at all. And the only thing I can say is that it's because the story has been folded elsewhere.
Yeah, I think something is still happening with it because of the way that Daisy Ridley has been talking about it. Because I think she has been sort of like, yeah, no, I'm involved. I know exactly what's going on and things are trekking along and don't you worry about it eventually. So I feel like, yeah, maybe this is a print interview. Maybe she did say something and it did get cut out, or maybe it is rolled into the Kinberg trilogy, or maybe they're going to announce it next Tuesday and it is Kathleen Kennedy's first project that she's doing solo and she just didn't want to step on the announcement. Like, I think that there is a lot of reason to think that it is still alive. I think with her saying that the Kinberg trilogy is really that the new co-heads of Filoni and Brennan are really on board with that, makes me think like, well, if the Kinberg trilogy is happening in that timeline anyway, maybe Rey's story did get absorbed into that. And I think it would be an interesting thing if Filoni was like, yes, I would like to be more hands-on with the sequel characters. Seems like a thing that he might like. So I do still have hope that Rey's story is alive. I think it might be in a total bloodbath for the 3 films announced at Celebration London in 2023. She mentions Mangold's being on hold. She does. The other film that doesn't get mentioned at all was the Filoni's New Republic versus Thrawn. I think that's going to be folded into other kinds of storytelling. And I think probably the New Jedi Order film, as described and directed by Sharmeen Obed-Chinoy, that beautiful London morning, it's probably not going to happen. And it's more that the story of Rey and the character will continue in a different way.
Yeah, I got thoughts on conventions. And Zabaglione points out what I think is true, but not necessarily in this case, actors of the last note. But Daisy signed on as the producer of the film, which doesn't necessarily mean you're in the weeds, but it does mean you have a little bit more say, more stake, and a little more knowledge of what's going on. And so I think that's kind of what's going on with Daisy. But yeah, I mean, Daisy's talking about it. That's why I kind of think I'm still very hopeful for something. But I was going to say Sharmeen Obed-Chinoy is not necessarily talking about it, but she's also not out there. You know, we're not seeing her on red carpets. We're not seeing her promote other projects. If that happens, that might be the answer. That is probably more my fears, that she's not involved.
Yeah. I agree, and I loved what she said about it. I thought she's a great choice with a different perspective to direct a Star Wars film. But yeah, I really agree with Daisy Ridley isn't just an actor on this one. And what she said consistently in interviews is, I know the idea, and I signed up because the idea really worked for me and made sense. So I think that she is not just an actor, she is a producer, and she's a producer who knows she holds a lot of the cards. They're not doing this film without her. So I think even if it morphed away from the Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy film, which I'm bummed about, I don't think Daisy Ridley would stay attached if she didn't think the idea was good.
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
So that gives me a little bit of hope. All right. So with that, we're just going to run down each of these projects and take the temperature in the room of whether we think they will happen and whether we as individual Star Wars fans want them to happen. Ken, anything in the chat that we should look at before we dive in?
No, just people, going back and forth in a nice way about this. We're all trying to read the tea leaves at this point, so there's nothing you can point to as factual. But yeah,
okay,
and it just shows a great love of wanting more Rey films.
Yeah, awesome. So James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi film. Ken, you're a big fan of Big James Mangold. Do you want this to happen, and do you think it's going to happen? Two different questions.
Two different. I really, really want this to happen. And when Bo Willimon came on board, I was even more intrigued. I loved his work in Andor, and he's got a lot of things as well that people like that I didn't really take in. But Andor won me over, so I'm very excited. And I want to go to this era. It's not even the Old Republic. It's before that. And I love Dial of Destiny. I'll fight you. I'll cut a man over bad words about Dial of Destiny. Love that film. And love 310 to Yuba. Girl Interrupted. Run down the list of Big Jim pictures. It was a weird marriage to me. And he's a big budget filmmaker. He knows the studio system and they love working with Dial of Destiny. Clearly, he understands the film wasn't universally praised, that I'm not the only one with an opinion of it. So there's just a lot of reasons where I'm like, I've kind of been like, I don't think we'll ever see this. It's not even just that Bob Iger's going to say no to a bold script. It just seems like there's a lot of reasons that this would just slink away quietly. But I'm hopeful because I do want to see this film.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree with you about Dial of Destiny in particular. I think that is a fantastic movie that will get its flowers someday. And I hold in my heart the opening night screening I saw at Grauman's, where many grown humans of all genders dressed as Indiana Jones and other characters wept and applauded. Anyway, I just want to jump in on Dial of Destiny. I won't cut you, but I will be very firm about my opinions. I'll cut you with my words.
Joseph will hold me back, man. Hold me back, bro.
And then maybe the knife will slip. Anyway, Jennifer, what are your opinions about the Dawn of the Jedi film, about whether you think it's going to happen and whether you personally want it to?
I'm really struggling with the title. My brain associates the Dawn of the Planet of the Apes every time I hear this.
That's fair.
And then I think of like the 10 Commandments, because they mentioned that initially.
Yeah.
And so now I don't know what I'm expecting. But then I remembered, Bo Willimon wrote it, right? Or co-wrote it, whatever. And I'm like, well, that's interesting. But I have in my notes, I think I waffle on this. Sometimes I really want it. And sometimes I'm like, it just kind of feels so far from anything I'm thinking of right now that I'm like, show me the teaser. I'm sure I'll like it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sitting in some boardroom. Show me the teaser, boys. Let me see what you got.
Yeah, a lot of people are saying in the chat, like, all of this is so dependent on how do the next two films go. I think, James Mangold is if they continue to think safety means a white man director with a good track record, then maybe that will bump this up. If that is where they're getting their safety from, of like just attached, hey, come on, if you get Timothée Chalamet to play the first Jedi, you got go picture, right? Because I think Starfighter will be a good film, but in terms of business side risk mitigation, I think it is the Who. So I think the Who is going to really matter. In terms of the what, I'm kind of fascinated. Like, I want to see it the same way like I watch a video of a car wreck, where like I don't really want to watch it, but I kind of do, for myself. Of not that the film is going to be bad. I feel like the risk of the film to me is, will it tip into the explaining how everything got started kind of prequel stuff? I don't need to know, like, technically where did their first lightsabers come from, and I think it could be a philosophically really interesting film, and maybe that's how it's breaking the mold. Is, to me, it has to be philosophical. It has to be people discover that they can tap into this wonderful connecting force, and it's peaceful and wonderful to meditate with it. But then they realize it actually does give them power, and they have a responsibility to go out and proactively use that power. No one elected them. No one gave them the power, but they have that power, and they decided it is morally necessary for us to organize and use these powers for good. That's fascinating. And if it is a philosophical film that doesn't hide from that first step philosophy of the choice to proactively become a group that goes out and uses their power, I would absolutely love that.
Yes, you're pitching me even more on why and why I like it, and why it wouldn't just be wouldn't just be, wait, what do we, so we plug these into a power pack in this Kyber crystal? Like it would be, what do we do with this great power? And I think those are two people that I'd like to see their take on it. But I'm probably going to see it in my mind.
General Cameroni says, holding out hope that Filoni could help push this through because we could see some deep lore and even weird Force Mortis stuff. That'd be great too. And I love it that Kathleen Kennedy's like, yeah, broke the mold. So maybe too bad Disney Plus thing is they're not making things anymore. Anyway, moving on to Taika Waititi's, I'm just going to say comedy film. There's no guarantee that it is a comedy film, but Kathleen Kennedy called it hilarious. And I think Taika Waititi is a person who agrees with a philosophy that I have, that comedy is just a language and you can say very deep and meaningful things with comedy. So I don't think his film would just be like set up, knock down punchlines. I think it would have lots of meaning and heart, but perhaps told with lots of comedy. Jen, how are you feeling about the possibility of a Taika Waititi funny movie?
I think it could be a real hit or miss. And I think that Star Wars fans often don't have a sense of humor. I'm like generalizing, right? Because we know that we all can laugh at things, but Star Wars fans get particularly worried when Star Wars doesn't take itself seriously. And like, they're okay with it when it's within the Lego area, right? The Star Wars Legos, jokes abound. Star Wars Detours, which was poking fun at itself. I don't know, anytime we have that, and I thought Solo was really funny. Solo didn't do well for a variety of reasons, which she acknowledges. I don't know how fans would take humor with Star Wars. It has to be done very, very carefully so it doesn't look like it's making, I don't know how it would be done.
Yeah. I think it could be very successful if it was just, it's its own little film, and it is about, two, bumbling but lovable characters who aren't set up to be Solo or Thor, characters who do need to walk a line between comedy and gravitas. So I think if it really is, these are brand new characters. This is a side adventure. This is like almost like, a Star Wars buddy comedy, a Blues Brothers Midnight Hour, kind of like the characters are built to be funny in this specific way. I think it could work. I'd be curious to see it. I don't think this one's going to happen because I think this is right now the opposite of safety, because Taika, I could write so many essays about the way we put him on a pedestal for Ragnarok and ripped him down for Love and Thunder. And I think Love and Thunder is kind of evidence that that in this kind of big genre of filmmaking, Taika likes to throw in a lot of comedy. And I understand people hate Love and Thunder. It's an incredibly deep and painful film about a woman dying of cancer, and the jokes were too big, and people are just like, I'm out because I don't feel like he's taking Thor seriously, when that film's like deadly serious in terms of what is actually going on. Ken, what are your Taika Waititi thoughts?
Myriad and complicated and even confusing for myself, because I am a fan and I'm not super familiar with all his films. Start with a comment here from our buddy Matty Gunner there. Highly recommend Taika's movie Next Goal Wins. I'd be tearing up from both heartfelt moments and bursting out laughing. And to your point earlier about comedy, yeah, I'm with you. That's often how you and I and others communicate, right? The jokes help us understand, get through all those kind of things. And I would expect him to be funny. And it's just confusing me because I was one of those annoying people during the first season of Flight of the Conchords. Like, you've got to watch this, and that's kind of the world he emerges from. And I like listening to him talk. I liked his work in Mandalorian. So it's on paper a lot of win-win-wins, and I just come up to this weird wall in my soul that I don't fully understand. It might be because his humor is hyper specific in a way. And that I would just worry about the discourse, which I can't, and we shouldn't, and that's not how it should function. But I just don't. So that's why I'm saying it's confusing. Like, on paper, I'm like, check, and then even when it was the day it was announced, I was kind of like, I don't even like that weird logo they used. Like, I didn't think that was good, but
it did look like a rejected logo for Star Wars Dixie cups.
Yeah, or Schoolhouse Rocks. But even so, I'm firing up the Casterly Talk YouTube channel to do a breakdown tomorrow of the first episode of Night of Seven Kingdoms, the new Game of Thrones show. And I loved it. And a lot of people are loving it. And the reason I loved it is it had humor. It was real. It was smaller. And there wasn't the galaxy. It wasn't the realm at stake. It was about, you want to be a knight. What's a knight? What does that mean? What's your identity? This is about not fighting as a knight, making connections, being who you are. And it's this, and the two leads have already started off well as just having a warm kind of connection. And it was like a breath of fresh air. House of the Dragon is a great series, but it's very dark. It's very dour. It's very epic. And it's also at times very boring. I just haven't revisited it. And my whole life was Game of Thrones for a while. So between last night and this morning, I'm like, man, I really wish Star Wars could do that too, where we could have something that's at even lower scales than Solo, of like, what's it like to function in this world? And I bet Taika could be the guy to do that.
Mm-hmm. And
here I am telling both of you, I don't know. So I got to work my own thoughts out. But at the end of the day, sadly, if I'm betting like we all do now, we can go to Polymarket and bet your life away. I don't think this happens.
Yeah, no, and people are working through their Love and Thunder feelings in the chat, which I think is relevant to what's going on with Taika. Our friend Osvetnik says, to be clear, I didn't hate Love and Thunder. I just think it was a weird mix of comedy and drama that it didn't mix right for me. And I think the way that manifests for me is whenever I hear people talking about it, they're either angry because it didn't do justice to the comics that it was adapting, or really don't like the comedy. And because the comedy was so bold, I can just never get anybody to engage. Like, but how did you feel about the story about a woman dying of cancer and about Thor changing who he wants to, his definition of who he is based on taking care of which I think is clear that sometimes the balance doesn't work. But Laserbolts here says, whoops, wrong one. Ragnarok is still one of my favorites, with a great balance of storytelling, high stakes, and humor. And I think a unique balance is needed for success. And I don't know that Taika always achieves that. Jen?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I think it's also, I think that the challenge is like with Marvel, comedy feels more natural within those stories. And I think for Star Wars, it doesn't have that. Like I said, it's more relegated to either the Lego Star Wars. I just don't see how it fits with these sweeping family dramas that we're used to, right? You can infuse it, but even Taika Waititi, like, he is a very specific type of comedy that appeals to a certain group of people. And if you love it, you love it. And if you don't, you absolutely hate it. And right now, Star Wars cannot take that type of risk. They need to be swinging and hitting the home runs or whatever you would say from this point on. And it'll be interesting to see, is that touchdown? Yeah, they'll be scoring the basket. And then that way we can see, because this is all in Dave Filoni and Lin-Wen Brent. Oh my gosh, I need to write down her name.
Brennan,
yeah, thank you. Yeah. And it will be interesting to see what they greenlight and what they put out the gate, because this is a very difficult time, not just with Lucasfilm, but the state of the industry in general.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, great thoughts. And thank you, everybody, for discussing for this mini episode of Love and Thunder discussion. I think there's a lot of very great and balanced thoughts in the chat. So thank you, everyone, for contributing those.
We're live. I got a slight repairman issue. I'll be back in 2 minutes, everybody.
Okay. Thanks. That is great. Yep. And Izzo Svetnik says here, yes, Thor run is a modern classic. There's levity there. It was mostly epic, biblical, and serious. Screaming goats with it just didn't work for me. And I totally get that. And that this conversation we're having right here might be what would be happening with a Taika Star Wars movie. So this healthy conversation reflects the risk of a Taika Star Wars movie that is funny. All right, moving on to the Donald Glover Lando script. Jen, what are your thoughts on this one?
This one, I was really encouraged to see that it is still alive because I thought it was dead. I know that he's kind of talked about it, but then he had some health issues that came up recently or somewhat recently that have made him take a step back from things. So this was exciting. I feel like this is a good... Oh, no, I might have to go for a second. Okay. Talk to yourself. I'll be back.
In the chat. All right. Now I'm just going to go through and read. Oh, my God. In just a minute, I'm going to go down the basement to see if Ken and Jen are okay. And if I don't come back, you guys in the chat, you run the whole show all by yourself. Great discussions of the screaming goats in Thor: Love and Thunder and what other animals in Star Wars could be screaming. We have a vote for screaming banthas, which I really like because I feel like their voices would be very, very deep. And I just says screaming Ewoks. Very, very good. And getting back to
wait a minute. I left and Jed left too. It's a one-man show.
We've been having a lot of fun in the chat, and I've been talking about different things that could screaming Jawas. Yeah. I mean, did Jawas ever not scream, really? Utini is a scream. Utini. Anyway,
sorry about that. Had a washer go out on me. It's created a lot of issues.
Our hosts are dropping like flies. It was funny because people in the chat were riffing on Thor: Love and Thunder, screaming goats of what else could scream, and then there was a scream heard from Jennifer's home. Boy, your kids hate Love and Thunder.
Oh my gosh, they're playing Nintendo Switch. Things and Among Us. Things are getting ruthless.
Okay, I got it.
Ruthless.
Okay. Screaming Kowakian monkey lizards. There we go.
Yes, I am the
Screaming
wrangler. Oh my gosh.
All right.
Okay.
Back to Donald Glover's Lando film that I think a lot of us are happy in the chat to just hear mentioned and see as like kind of alive. Doesn't really say a lot qualitatively about that one, right? I think the ones by Taika and Donald are still somewhat alive, is what she says. So, Jen, your Lando thoughts.
Yeah, I like I was saying, this is a risk, but I feel like this is a good risk to take. I think that he was really fun as Lando, and obviously, like again, it's tough to top Billy D. Williams. He is so iconic in the role, as she mentioned with Harrison Ford and Alden Ehrenreich. That's a tough ask, and they both did a fantastic job with their roles, and I like Donald Glover's style, his writing. I think that he's a really passionate fan. He knows how to talk to fans, and it's important. And I think he could get on social media, and I think he could refuse interesting things. I don't know. He's just an interesting guy. I loved him in that Mr. and Mrs. Smith show that he did. If you guys haven't seen it, watch it. He is an action star, but always grounded and like so deep and emotional and bringing these heartfelt moments and balancing out with like shoot 'em ups. So anyways, yeah, this is a go picture for me.
Ken, what are your thoughts on the Donald Glover Lando film?
Well, it's funny because I'm trying to say, look, just because Kathleen Kennedy didn't mention the Rey movie doesn't mean it's not happening. And then I'm here, I'm like, oh, she mentioned the Donald Glover movie. It's probably happening. Complicated world we live in. Him as an artist, I trust. And if he continues to have an interest in it, and now it is a movie versus originally told by Kathleen Kennedy on Investors Day that it was going to be a streaming series, and now it's a movie. I think that's a good thing. I'd be on board. It's kind of a similar conversation about the Taika stuff about Donald Glover's style. Of course, the series Atlanta, and I think it's the same kind of thing. It's humor, it's pathos, it's poignancy, it's fun, it's action, Mr. and Mrs. Smith, like you said. So I think this is something I would love to see because it also would open up the opportunity of some other people to return in roles and performances that we like from the solo Star Wars story kind of era of it all. Though that's not a guarantee because he could very much be like, hey, I'm going to go do Lando out and about in the galaxy. So I'm aboard. I just still think it's one of those things. I'm like, it's 2038, 2035 at the earliest. I don't know.
Yeah. I think this one is I think this one, whether or not it gets released, is mostly about how do the next couple of films do. In terms of you're a studio and you have to make a safe bet. Donald Glover is an extremely famous and well-liked actor, writer, producer. I think the fact that he was like, yeah, I'll do more Lando, but I don't want to just do an adventure. I want to be the writer, producer. I want to own this, and I would assume say something with it. Some of the things that are working relatively consistently at the box office right now are horror and new ideas by Black people, by Black creators. That's what's actually doing well at the box office. So I think Donald Glover at the helm of this is actually a box office safety. Whether or not it gets made, and I do feel like there is that people have been mentioning do you want to see people recast? Do you want to see go back to the well of classic characters? There's always been nothing but positivity, it feels like, of Donald Glover as Lando. So I feel like it kind of escapes some of that trap. What do you think, Ken?
I think you're right to say that it is a better bet than maybe some of the other choices out there, just in terms of the name behind it. Someone who has earned his respect. Not that, I mean, Mangle Taika have too, but you know what I mean. Like he's gone from viral sketch performer to writer to let's get him in the cast of Community to very popular to becoming and I'm not even talking about the Childish Gambino side of his career. Talking about on screen. So I think he's got he can get a go picture, right, which is sometimes hard these days. So and I just when an artist of this caliber, and this includes Waititi and Mangle too, but when a performer, an actor of this caliber says, yeah, not only I want to do it, I have an idea. Similar to Daisy going, oh yeah, they pitched me something that I liked. Like that gets me excited. I trust artists like this, I'm excited for what he can do.
Yeah, that's a great point. If he is still interested and invested, then that's a good sign for it. All right. Maybe in some ways, moving on to one of the more fascinating things for her to have mentioned is The Hunt for Ben Solo. This was a surprise reveal by Adam Driver that Steven Soderbergh and Adam Driver and a writer whose name I'm forgetting right now had written a script that Disney was happy with, or that Lucasfilm was happy with, that Disney did not give go picture to. But in this interview, Kathleen Kennedy is suggesting that it's still on the table in some form or fashion. They turned in a script written by Scott Burns. It was just great. That is maybe her saying it's dead, but she was asked, what do you think about script written by Scott Burns? Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Scott C. Burns, yeah.
So, Ken, how did you take this? Do you take this as maybe the hunt for Ben Solo is still alive, or was just a burn from Kathleen Kennedy?
No.
Good job on canceling that one. Everybody liked.
Column A, column B. I think this is the biggest story of the interview, actually. I think that she soft promoted this film from dead and gone to back burner, that it's alive in some capacity, right? Like, that's actually pretty huge. And it speaks to, maybe the reason behind Adam Driver just coming out and being like, yeah, here's what happened. Sucks, huh? Never going to happen. And I don't think you can necessarily bank on that. Like, I'm going to say something and there's suddenly going to be a groundswell of support behind it. And that Bob Iger's up there. Give me the trades. Give me the blue sky posts. They're aware of that stuff. trust me, we know that there's social teams behind all that kind of stuff. But this is the biggest news, and I still don't think I still don't think we're going to see the film. But again, talking about when an artist, an actor, says, "Yeah, oh yeah, I still want to do something with this character," and we found a way to do it that interests me. That's enough for me to buy a ticket to the idea. So I'm excited that it's is it dead? It's mostly dead, but it's alive in some way.
Mm-hmm. Jen, first, everybody feels you look like the Zilla Beast when you walk through the towers of Coruscant. What the chat is saying. Bang. What do you thought?
Yeah, this was really surprising to hear. And I like somebody mentioned this, that basically she's kind of, oh yeah, exactly, as Svetnik. Feels like a direct shot at Iger and the whole be bold thing, mentioned the thing. Everyone online says they want just to burn. Yeah, I think that she obviously cared about this project. She thought it was an interesting idea, but it was killed. But it still could be revived. I kind of thought that it might have been, just by how much online chatter there was. I thought it was a possibility. I don't know anymore. But yeah, this one got me very excited.
Yeah, I have hopes for it because, again, if they are wanting safety, if they're wanting partners that they can trust, if they want, reliable people with a good track record, that's Steven Soderbergh, pretty reliable track record, and also just like this amount of fan investment, it's starting from such a good place. So I think there's a possibility that this could still happen. It would be amazing if the film really is the hunt for Ben Solo, and it's like the main body of the film is 3 characters we've never met, and they find Ben at the end in the last 5 minutes. He's like, "Hey," and that's it. Yeah. I doubt it, but that would be pretty funny. Yeah. That would be a risk. The hunt for Ben Solo is like, we didn't say we'd find him until the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, we did. Time.
Yeah.
Does Godot show up? I don't know.
Yeah. It's not the finding of Ben Solo. It's the hunt for Ben Solo. Yeah. Yeah. But I agree with everybody that all of these are, who knows, but that one just does seem a little bit like, even if this is just Kathleen Kennedy, playing a political game, that's how things get made. So I think it might come back to being relevant. All right, moving on to the Simon Kinberg trilogy. This is the to me, like the Ronto in the room, the Bantha in the room, the large Star Wars animal in the room, because if they do a trilogy, I don't know that Star Wars is back to a place where it could support 2 films coming out in 1 calendar year. Or if they want to go back to the trilogy comes out, then another solo movie, then another. If they want to go back to that, there's a potential that the trilogy just takes all of these films off the board for 5-6 years. Ken, what are your thoughts on this Simon Kinberg trilogy?
I am still overall excited about it, simply because Kinberg has a lot of detractors, and some of it may be earned from some of his projects. But that sometimes it's complicated when you're talking about why a film didn't work or something like that. Is it the writer, the director, the actor, producer, studio? There's a lot of factors in that. It's a miracle these things get made anyways. But it's because of his work in Star Wars. It's because of his work on Rebels. It's because Filoni and Carrie Beck and the entire team were like, we like working with this guy. And so for it to translate now with Filoni and Lin-Manuel Brennan going, they are hearing from Kathleen Kennedy, they like what he's doing. That too excites me as well. But I still kind of the absorbing of the new Jedi Order film into this idea. If I would love the continued adventures of Finn, and give me General Poe Dameron. But if you gotta, if you got to reach out to those performers who've had mostly positive, but have expressed some complicated feelings towards working for Disney or working for the franchise. Is that part of the delay? And all that kind of stuff goes out the window for me. If I just still think this thing should be so far in the future and so far its own thing for a next generation. I really believe in that. That's why I think there should be a slot for a new Jedi Order film. That's why Hunt for Ben Solo. Poe Dameron retires and runs a nightclub. Great sitcom that I want. Those kind of things. I want that there, and my hopes that this 2035, I'll take it. Of the future of Star Wars fans, they get this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this one feels. I really agree with everything you said. I think for myself as a fan, I really want to see Rey in something after all these years of teasing that.
Same.
I would love to see Finn and Poe and hey Rose, lots of our characters from the sequel era. But if it's a new trilogy, I almost want it to really stand on its own more and be not a reboot of the original trilogy, but a reboot of the feeling of the original trilogy. Like really make this as a jumping on point without too much baggage of the past. And that makes sense with Filoni and Brennan taking over. So I don't know if it's going to be that, if it's also roping in Rey. I also feel like in terms of is this getting made and when, it's 4 months until Mando and Grogu. I wonder if some of this is like, what is the better vision for Star Wars? Do we go with the tried and true of a trilogy that people get invested in? Or are we better off doing one film at a time? And I wonder if a lot of this hangs on like Mando and Grogu is kind of a one-off film, building off of a television show. And if it goes great and Starfighter goes great, do they go, well, we're better off telling different stories? Or if they stumble a little bit, if they're really like, no, we got to stay true to what's always worked. We're doing a trilogy.
Yeah.
Jen, what are your thoughts on the Kinberg trilogy?
So it basically she's saying that this would happen 2030 and beyond. Is that what she's implying? That the Kinberg trilogy? So I mean, I kept thinking it was 2027. It's 2026. 4 years. I feel like she's setting the new presidents, CEOs up for success. They've got Mando that's going to be coming out. Obviously, Starfighter is going to be doing well. And then what's going to happen? I think that this Kinberg trilogy is a very solid choice. It's a very safe choice. It's a good place to maybe reboot, to reintroduce Star Wars to a new generation of fans again. So it feels like it's kind of the natural thing that we would have Dave Filoni and Lin Win announce. Like, we're going to have a new trilogy and here's what it's about. Oh, and Rey will be there and everyone's happy, right? That I think is like best case scenario.
Sunshine and lollipops.
But we'll have men there. Don't you worry, men. Yes, we have lots and lots of men.
Rey and men were there and everyone was happy. Oh, it's Jen Lando's pitch. That's great. That's great. Any other thoughts on the slate of potential films before we move on? Nope. Okay. Ken?
No,
you look like you're working towards a thought. Okay.
I just, I thought it was cool that she's mentioned them.
Yeah, I think it is great to let people know. So our friend Joel Davis is getting our attention with some super chats. So let's take a quick look at this, and then we will finish out our conversation. Says, how do you think Filoni and Lin Win are going to handle those Disney boards, regardless if Iger is there or not? I mean, I think it's all relationships. And I think particularly if whoever replaces Bob Iger is maybe a little bit younger, maybe it will be a new generation of this person is newer at the job and really have their feet planted in the modern, confusing era of show business. And so do Filoni and Lin Win. I'm kind of hoping that it is sort of like everybody there is a new generation of young 50-year-olds instead of 70, 80-year-olds.
Oh, no.
Fresh-faced 50-year-olds. No. That's what I say.
Oh, boy.
51. Jen, do you have any thoughts about the relationship between Disney and the new co-heads of Lucasfilm?
No, this is going to be a real push-pull. And, Kathleen Kennedy was able to stand up as best she could and fight for these movies as she wanted because of her track record. And this is going to be a little bit more challenging for Dave and Lin Win. So I don't know. They'll find their footing. They'll figure it out. They've got their finger on the Star Wars pulse. And you guys are cracking me up with your comments about raining men. Holden. Oh my gosh, you guys. It's funny. Men. Lots of men. We're men, manly men. Yes.
No, never be sorry for singing. Joel Davis also adds with a kind super chat. Sometimes it's not just execs who don't want boldness, but the general audience too. The prequels are a good example of this. Yeah, I think we read the tea leaves about what fans are excited about, but I agree with the creators should just make what they want to make. The nobody asked for this thing is I don't think it's healthy. I think creators should create what they create, and I think that is also a huge amount of we, the audience, if we want new things, need to go support them. Joel Davis also says, I think the trilogy will be 10 through 12 and be akin to Avengers for branding reasons. I suppose that is what comes up always with the Kinberg trilogy, with the potential of it continuing the Skywalker saga and being labeled episode 10, 11, 12. Jen, do you care about the episode labeling?
I think that they should not go that route. They really should not. Let's start fresh. We got to start fresh, wipe the slate clean, and just, yeah, I don't know.
Yes, agreed. Ken, any thoughts on the numbers?
Sorry, I kind of want them. It's kind of like, why wouldn't you have? But the problem, but it goes back to what I thought. I understood it. It was such a wonderful marketing thing, the Skywalker saga and the end of the Skywalker saga. But I was always like, but why? Why? Like, Star Wars goes on, and so. But I'm not gonna fight either way. I'm not gonna fight with you two. I'm not gonna fight with if they go episode 1 all over again. We've all read comics where they reboot. We got the new 52s. We got it. But to your point, if to Jen's big point there, if calling them 10, 11, and 12 makes people go, more of the same, then yeah, maybe we don't do it. But
I think
it's like with crawls, man. Give me crawls and episode numbers.
I see. Yes, I like that. They should use the Dewey Decimal System in some way. Bring that back for Star Wars episode titles. Yeah, I mean, I think I only want it to be episode 10, 11, and 12 if it is sort of continuing the big stakes of the galaxy with recognizable characters, so it feels like a continuation of the same story. They've introduced that there are other galaxies. There's a part of me just like, if you want to start fresh, just like it's in another galaxy, and it can be episode 1 again. But we will see. Moving on here. So, as we talked about, there was a lot in that Kathleen Kennedy interview, but one other thing I thought was worth checking on was she was very blunt that abuse online is part of the gig of being a Star Wars creator. There are 2 quotes in relation to that. Here's the first one. She was asked what the highs and lows of working on Star Wars are. And she said the lows are that you've got a very, very small percentage of the fan base that has enormous expectations. And basically, they want to continue to see pretty much the same thing. And if you're not going to do that, then going in that you're going to disappoint them. I'm not sure there's anything you can do about that because you can't please everybody. She also said about welcoming new creators into Star Wars. She said, I'm honest, especially with the women that come into this space because they unfairly get targeted. I don't try to sugarcoat it. And I emphasize that it's a very small group of people with loud megaphones. I truly do not believe that it's the majority of the fans. And I think we're also in this weird world of where bots can affect things. You have to develop a tough skin. That is exactly right. That's what you have to do. You can't make it go away. All we can do is put our heads down and do the work and believe that what we're doing the best we can, telling the best story we can. And if somebody gets really nervous about it and doesn't want to do it, I say, then don't do it because I can't tell you this won't happen. Jen, how do you feel about those quotes?
I mean,
I'm sorry. We're having so much fun with the raining men puns. And
yeah.
Now we got to go back to this.
Yeah, look, I mean, we all are seeing where things are in the state of the world, and it is affecting everything. We saw it affecting the Kimmel Show and Disney. I mean, there was just something recently where the Disney social media team asked fans to like, what's your favorite Disney quote or something like that, and people came in with all these quotes from the Disney stories talking about fighting against tyranny and standing up for justice and all these things. And Disney, they deleted it. These were beautiful, beautiful quotations from the movies themselves. And they deleted it. Why they deleted it, I don't know. But in this day and age, because they are Disney and they are a big, big company, they have to tread carefully. And it sucks. It really sucks. And I don't like it. And I wish that gosh, that they could have just kept that thread up. There was nothing political. It was literally directly from Disney movies, and yet it was making a political statement in this day and age. And so I don't know. I mean, we're at the point now where people's lives, and they have been for a while, people's lives are being threatened, but now people are actually taking it to the streets, and it's affecting people in the streets. It's not just online. So it's a very scary time. And honestly, I mean, that's why I'm not online a lot. And I am just living my life and just trying to get through, and I'm dealing with my day-to-day things because it's just really, really scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Professor Smart Things reminding that the prompt on Threads
That's
from Disney was, it was your favorite quote to describe how you're feeling right now. Everybody's like, fighting back against authoritarian oppression. Here's many examples from your films, Disney. Yeah, I think I think there's a couple things going on. There's there's the good faith Star Wars fans that she's talking about, or like legitimately fans, but when they don't like something, can be assholes in the way they express it, right? There's that, and then there is the also like we're just angry and xenophobic, and we don't want women or people of color to be too prominent, and we're going to let you know because of that. And it might overlap with being a Star Wars fan, but it also is just an agenda, and that is, we have to question how many of these things are bots. That's another factor of it. And I'm so glad that she brings that up. There was a moment, for whatever reason, that Musk decided to show transparency on X and show where all these accounts were, and a bunch of these really big xenophobic right-wing agitator personality types were not in the US. So bots were, so and go back to that director in the Jedi documentary where Ryan's kind of like, hey, I just got this notice that the film hasn't come out yet, but Russian bots hate it. I think the fact that it's difficult to pull apart between a small group of fans who choose to express their legitimate opinion like assholes in a cruel, awful way versus actual horrible xenophobic monsters versus bots programmed by xenophobic monsters to look like their numbers are bigger. It's such a thorny problem to pick apart. And I do think that corporations have a responsibility in helping to pick that problem apart. I don't think it should be left up to Ewan McGregor to do a car video when somebody's being attacked. I think if a company says, we believe in this actor, we believe in this story, we're putting this out there, that the corporation, they can't stop it from happening, but they can certainly make a statement about it. And they can certainly use their data to pick through the weeds and say, we have firms hired, and we're going to tell you the percentage of bots. There's a lot I think that corporations could try to do. And I think right now it's in a moment of kind of like, we haven't adjusted to this new world, and we just kind of want to go, la, 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 la. Let's throw out happy fun time prompts. Whoops, can't even do that anymore. Whoops. And like, what are your thoughts, Ken?
There are a lot. There are a lot. I think Kathleen Kennedy is mostly spitting absolute facts here. And speaking of the realities of it, I also think there's an air of not much we can do about it from her side. She didn't say that, but it's just kind of like, you're gonna have to jump in the water and deal with the sharks, I guess. If you know, and then you got Ryan putting out a post that was disputing her "I got spooked" thing. He just straight out said, "No." So that was a weird little moment, but I think she's speaking mostly facts here. But in terms of like, yeah, it goes beyond there. I think you're right, Joseph. Just be direct about it. Where we all run into people in our lives who do not connect the real world, politics, social issues, whatever it is, to pop culture. They don't. And I get so on my soapbox about it. It's how you see pop culture. It's how you see the world. And there's so many people in my life who just bat Star Wars around like it's a little ball of twine, like they're a cat, and they think it's fun, and they don't know there's creators attached to it. And they are good people who just don't attach politics to it, who don't attach to the state of the world to it, and they're letting in whether it's the bots, clearly a problem, we all know that, but also just the actual grifters out there doing it. They leave the back door open to all this stuff, and that's been my fight for a while. As far as companies doing so, yeah, I have a friend whose job is that for a brand, for a company that a big studio has hired, monitor everything about this particular show / world. And he's almost got like trauma from the stuff that's out there. But he puts it up. I'm saying maybe even too much. He puts it up the chain, and they can't / won't do anything about it. It's just part of this. People got to say what they say, and it's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. We can't solve it. And also, I think my idea, the thoughts on it are too scattered. But I was talking to you off air, just some of the stuff, in the world. Like, I truly believe there's just a large percentage of people that aren't seeing what's going on in the world. Not some of it intentional, some of it you see it and you turn away. But I think we have to be honest with that. There's just most of the people just go around functioning in their life normally, and seeing a Star Wars movie and going, I didn't like that, and then seeing 15 thumbnails with red eyes. They go, see, I'm not alone. And they aren't the bad people, and they have no idea that these people are, and they're just living their life normally, and they're helping, helping the grifters and the waves of hate roll. And it's just something I can't solve, and it's scary. And I'm glad she at least addressed it directly.
Yeah, and I'm glad I'm glad that she directed it. You know what I mean? And that it's interesting to think that some people said, nope, I'm out of it. Wanted to pull this up from Professor of Smart Things. The world needs more Ewan McGregor car videos. I agree. And I didn't want to make sure that I was being clear on that. I think that Ewan McGregor video about the way Moses Ingram was being treated was fantastic. It just, those kinds of videos should also, I think, be coming from the corporation as well.
Yeah, it falls on the victims to police their own comments, or to have to deal with this. Like that, like you said, the actors should not be that are being attacked, should not be the ones put in this position. There should be safety in place for them. And corporations are they're afraid of, literally a vocal minority being like, we're not going to watch your products and we're going to boycott. And it's like, well, okay. These other group of people are literally threatening and harassing this person. Oh, it's maddening.
No, it's maddening.
All right. Moving on to something that I think is less controversial, but maybe I'll be wrong. We want to touch briefly on the Galaxy's Edge change. Galaxy's Edge is refocusing on the original trilogy era. The Rise of the Resistance ride will continue as is. The Millennium Falcon ride was previously announced to be getting a Mando and Grogu related overhaul. The First Order area of the park, Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland in particular, the First Order area will now be the Imperial base of Vader and his stormtroopers. The First Order shop will become Black Spire Surplus, run by 2 old clone troopers. Luke, Han, and Leia will be seen around the park, and all these areas will get a revamp on some level to align with the classic trilogy era. Savvy's Workshop, where guests can build their lightsaber. The Droid Depot, where guests can build little droids. Doc Ondor's Den of Antiquities, where people can buy cool stuff. And to the soundtrack playing throughout Galaxy's Edge, John Williams' iconic score from the first 6 films will be introduced, and including at Oga's Cantina, where DJ Rex will now play the classic Cantina Band song. Jen already shaking her head.
Maybe this
will be controversial.
I'm so angry about it.
Well, I was going to just throw out, our thoughts, but let me throw this out, Jen, because I really, really want to hear your takes. I think for me, I had a knee-jerk reaction of, is this kind of sequel, negativity? But I feel like they built the park to always be, you could go anywhere in the timeline. One of the first places it gets mentioned is in a book where Padme goes to the cantina. And with the 50th anniversary comes up, I wonder if this is any sort of sequel reaction, or if it is just, this has always been the plan, 5-6 years in, we'll shift. But I sense you have a different perspective that I would love to hear.
I got into it with my husband this morning because I was telling him about this, and he had a very different perspective than me. I don't understand why they didn't do this to begin with. Like, I could post a thesis about this, because back when this was announced, okay, everyone was calling it Star Wars Land. I assumed, because you could already meet Darth Vader and Chewie in the Tomorrowland area, that the Galaxy's Edge would be that, where our classic characters would come. Remember when they were like, oh, you're going to see all these droids wheeling around. And obviously that didn't happen. That's fine. I'm okay with that. I get it. But it's just like, when I go to Galaxy's Edge, one of my biggest gripes with this land is that it is not really interactive. They made it because they wanted it to be immersive. But when you walk around there, it is sparse. It is a lot of rocks. I want to be able to have an X-Wing that I can sit in. Don't give me some like cargo things and some random droids hanging in a net. That's not fun for me. I want to be able to have a big teacup like how they have outside of Alice in Wonderland that I can take photo ops in, right? I want to be able to see a chicken walker like how they used to have in Florida. And like that's a cool photo moment, right? I want to be able to touch things, make it interactive with people. And instead, like I just literally am like walking and walking in the hot sun by rocks. I just was like there's literally so much land in Star Wars land. And yet, like, I try to take a picture with Rey, she runs off. I try and take a picture with Chewie. You guys, the Chewie thing, don't get me started. They're like, he can't stop for pictures. You have a handler, you have a cast member. He won't stop for pictures. He literally goes from one side to the other of Galaxy's Edge by the Millennium Falcon. You have to run with him. I have a blurry picture of Chewbacca running by because I'm like, Chewie. This is one of the biggest I'm not biggest disasters. I'm going off the rails. This is like to me, this was a no-brainer. This is like literally a Simpsons I'll give you my money kind of meme. And I feel like they dropped the ball big time. And like my husband said, if people don't want to shell out hundreds of dollars, which we have not, to go make a lightsaber or go to the cantina, then you can't really interact with this land. And I'm going to Adventureland or Fantasyland where I'm appreciated.
I love that they're just trying to orchestrate Chewie photos that look like he is some mythical monster that you only get blurry profile shots of as he runs past the camera. Yep.
I apologize.
Sasquatch is real, and he's in Disney's Galaxy's Edge.
You're the only people I can talk to about this. That's why I lost it. I'm sorry. I had because no one else is going to listen to me talk about this.
You have a background with the park too, so you know the logistics.
This is Princess Jasmine, everyone. This is Princess Jasmine.
That's right. And I know how expensive it is to have those face characters out there. But throw some fuzzy characters out there. They can go. It's just terrible. Don't get me started on the restaurant. Remember the restaurant they promised us with a big tank and having these aquatic performers? My husband's like, that's too much money. Oh, man.
Probably.
Well, speaking of money, that was a $10 rant from Jen. Professor Smart Thing says this is specifically funny Jen's rant. Now also give me Padme merch in the parks. I agree with your rant that they are not doing anywhere near enough. And I was talking with a guy, a friendly Star Wars conversation in public about how they it is natural for lots of people to come to the park saying, I just kind of want to absorb Star Wars, but please no one talk to me. And then other people were like, I want to engage. And they promised a lot of engagement. They promised a level of engagement I didn't want. Because I remember talking about it on ForceCenter where they were saying, like, you'd have it on your app, like how well you did on the Millennium Falcon ride. And then if you got a drink at the bar, the bartender would see your app and they'd know if you screwed up and they'd make fun of you. And I was like, I'm not paying hundreds of dollars to be made fun of by a rando because but that was an insane amount of interactivity they were promising. And then when I first went there, it was pretty interactive. I had to go the long way to the men's room because there was a stormtrooper in my way and I knew he'd stop me because I had a Jedi shirt and the stormtroopers were stopping anybody with Jedi or Rebel shirts. And I had fun interactions, and you could take photos of Rey, but she would, insist that you call them a scan instead of a photo. And they did have this sort of like medium level of interaction, and then they peeled off and they peeled off and they peeled off. And then I think they left it. To me, it's immersive. It's immersive if you go build a lightsaber. It's immersive if you go on all the rides. But they don't. It is more display than immersion. And for me, it works. Because I does just feel a little bit, I walk by the A-Wing, walk by the big meat being turned, I feel immersed in Star Wars, but I could take a lot more.
Yeah. Molly Damon, my favorite thing is when they're like, we don't want the First Order to find us as Rey, Chewie run by. And okay, well, we came from Australia to see this, but fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is something I've had to maybe want to go back in the past and apologize to folks where when this land launched, they did we want Star Wars land, and it was like a Tatooine Endor kind of fake Disney map, and instead Disney give us this. And I still don't agree with that, but there's people like I was like, cool, you're blocked and out of my life because I don't need you, because it was all wrapped up in sequel hate or Rey hate. There's always that dance of what is actually going on and what emotions are you bringing to it. If you're out there selling, and that's the person I deleted at the start of our show. This is exactly what they said. They said they're happy to get rid of that Rey character no one cares about and put Darth Vader in Star Wars land. Like, that incorrect statement. Gone. You're out of here. I don't need that person around. However, I think over the years, and I went there 2020, cried when I saw the Falcon, had a great time for a couple hours. I do not feel the need to go back there again. I don't. And part of it is also the cost. I think your husband's right in that regard, Jen. I'm not getting into you and your husband fighting over Star Wars land, though. But everything you're saying, Jen, is right. I don't think it was. I love that it's Batuu. I do not want, like, go buy some more property and displace some people east of Harbor and go launch Star Wars land. Like, go do that. And I'd love to go to Tatooine. I'd love to go to ride little speeder bikes around a fake Endor. Give me that. But keep this here. Keep it Batuu. Keep it interactive. As best you can, have the characters there, but it just after a while, this goes to the conversation up top, and maybe it's because I'm a radio guy who likes 3-minute songs that connect with millions of people versus Pink Floyd and Grateful Dead playing for 32 minutes. Sorry, Janet, I know you're a Dead fan, Deadhead. I don't. It's not me. All right, but I love the character of Vi Moradi. I wish the character wasn't going to be removed. There is not anyone in the park who knows who that is. And
I did. I took a scan with her. Yeah,
you and I did. You and I did. And I wish they would just go, hey, she's here. We don't care if you know. That's the artist in me going, I'm going to tell this joke because I know it's funny. But I also have to realize the audience isn't going to find it's funny, and I have to stay in the pocket and make the joke. I do think, and I do not agree with spoiled rich horse girls making 4-hour YouTube essays about hotels they don't fully understand. I don't support that. But I do think this makes sense going into the 50th year. This makes sense, and I hope it doesn't stop with the original trilogy. I do want Padme. I do want. You tell me you don't want Anakin with the scar and the sweeping hair, sweeping through there. Like, that'd be great. They already did Mandalorian and Grogu. It just kind of makes sense. It's synergy. I don't want it to become Star Wars land. I do want it to be at Batuu, but the fact that they made it, I think this sometimes gets forgotten, and I think this is really creative. I think it was really nice and really powerful. But the fact that Galaxy's Edge is supposed to be one day, it's one day in the storyline. Mm-hmm. That's Delilah S. Dawson's great book. We love Black Spire, the book. Mm-hmm. It ends with, oh, crap, Kylo Ren's coming here. That's the day. So, great. I experienced that day. I'd like another day, please.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, lots of good clarifications and comments in the chat right now. This is just announced for Disneyland in California, not the park in Florida. And I did specify that because they can't just easily change the Rise of the Resistance ride, that some of the sequel characters will still be down in that specific area. And it's more the other areas that have been changed. And I agree with you, Ken. I really like that one of the things I liked is like, okay, if they're going to change it up a little bit, fine. But they backed off so quickly from, to me, a part of the immersion was everything being Star Wars language and Orabesh that you needed to scan and like, tip yip. And they're like very quickly into like, fine, it's roast beef because we're tired of, 800 dads going, what the bleep's a tip yip? So they're fine, we'll call it roast beef. And it was like, there's been roast beef erosion to that idea that let's make people feel like they're in Star Wars. Because I know everybody would be like, well, why couldn't it have been the one section's Hoth and one section's Tatooine? Like, that'd be fun. But I really like the creativity of we're going to create a new planet, this ancient place that exists all across the timeline. So it can be constantly evolving. And I think they backed off on that. Last thing I will also say is people are bringing up that a lot of that interactivity was implemented. It was expensive, and a lot of it was integrated into the sadly no longer with us Star Cruiser, which I also have strong opinions in defense about. Good friend played one of the major characters and had just a great experience, and constantly on her Facebook would share like the amazing things that children and parents and couples getting engaged told her. And that was like, yes, it was very, very expensive, but it is definitely one of those moments that you were talking about earlier where Star Wars to people feels like this big faraway idea. And so it's fine to say the most angry and hateful things while critiquing it. And, you know, I got to see kind of up close and personal how much it meant to my friend and to the team, and what she saw with her own eyes of how much it meant to people, that the nature of the conversation around it has been people expressing their opinions, I think, as facts, and very cruelly. And I wish it had not gone away, even though it was very expensive.
Yeah.
Agreed. Fully.
One last thing I'll say is that you don't have to work so hard at immersion. When I walk into Fantasyland,
going back, Jen?
yeah. Which wouldn't be so bad. I get immersed in, like, I don't know, like for me as a kid, I remember going to Fantasyland and I really felt like I was in a storybook. It felt enchanted, so much so that I often will see like Danish or like German architecture, and I'm like, that's like Fantasyland. Like, it's really kind of funny, right? Because when I go there, I feel like magic. There's not that people are walking around. Yeah, you might see the Mad Hatter or Peter Pan or whatever, but like nobody has to work so hard. And I think that with Galaxy's Edge, there's a lot of already good that's there. I don't have to have that extra piece to make it feel immersive. What would have made it feel even more immersive is the things that I mentioned, of making it more interactive and tactile, and a place, which I know that they're doing away with places to sit, but you know, places to sit, and like, I don't know, also a little bit more younger kid friendly. Like you mentioned, the speeder bike. How fun would that be to have like a speeder bike ride for younger kids? Like, I just feel like there's 2 rides, and my kids only recently got to an age where they could ride on it. And you want to have younger Star Wars fans? Like, come on, get out of here with that.
Yeah. I cried. I turned the corner and I cried. When I saw the Falcon, and I got to be the co-pilot. Grace got to be the pilot. You created a ride where 2 people just sit behind the front and press buttons, and I think I heard a lot of complaints about that too. Yeah, I got all the way there, and I was an engineer with some weird family from another part of the world I never heard. My friends were back there. You know, I think that was. But at the end of the day, I want to be sure. I'm very positive about this. Like, I'm with you, Joseph. Like, I would absolutely not want them to be like, it's generic town. Like, no, that's what separates Star Wars. That's why I was behind the vision when it was originally announced. I didn't get a chance to go to a hotel. I like what's going on there because of those things, because of seeing Rey talking to a young fan, tying something on, like, what they had, the wish tree or something that was there. Like that's why we're there. You know, hearing the bartender slip a resistance coin to Tom Morello of Rage Against the Machine and say, like, welcome, General. Like that's the kind of stuff I wanted. I said Bright Suns to someone in the staff, and they kind of were like, huh, what? I know. You know, like, I was in. So there's this. Yeah. I'm not ranting because of anger. I think this is a smart decision to extend the life of this. And I think that's what's important.
Yeah. Nick Tears says, I've seen kids have a blast in the land with the datapad app. It interacts with physical installations in the land. Yeah. And I picked up like one of the things for younger kids that was just like a physical printout of, can you find these things? Can you find this history? Or just like, you know, of footprints of different Star Wars beasts in the concrete and all that. And I think they're trying to have those things, but I think it is clearly not successful.
I'm not
for
giving my
everyone.
kids my phone. I'm trying to get them away from screen time. You know, every kid has different sensory needs, right? And so it's like, I just want more touching things. I want to be able to squish something. I want to be able to sit on something. I don't know.
Jen wants the wall of tactile sensation where it's just like different Star Wars aliens' flesh is protruding slightly out from the wall. You can touch a hut. You can
Oh my
touch an Ewok.
gosh. The Dianoga, like my kids and I will just stand there watching it, like the freaking drinking fountain. Like we need more of that all throughout.
Can we have like a big foam pit of like foam trash, and you get to jump in, and then a little snake
God.
All right, you know what? They should buy all the blocks of residential areas across from Harbor, kick those people out, just displace them. It's an LA tradition, and then build this land, right?
Yeah.
Yes. From my own final thoughts is I agree with a lot of the criticisms in there. I think that the space needs at least another ride, and I would love to see it to go back to more interaction, more photos. It's so much fun to go back when you see Kylo Ren just have to stand there and take it while kids just roasted him. It's so fun to watch the actors try to deal with that. Like, all right, fine. But every time I've been like 4 times, and I'm very, very lucky for that. And it's only because friends have been able to give me free or discounted tickets. It has always, even with all the criticisms, it has remained magical to me because the immersion for the most part works for me. And I wish it did better. And somebody said way back, if I missed it, that and I agree with them, happy to see the original trilogy characters there, but not happy for the people who think they got to win because it's against the sequel characters.
Right. Yeah. I agree with that. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And that's often the balance. That's often what we go to.
David says it needs a Sarlacc where you can be digested for 1,000 years. Make your money worth it. That's right.
It's amazing.
Yeah. Ken, any final thoughts from you?
No, Jen, I appreciate where you're coming from. I'm with you. I'm with you 100% there. And can't wait to get back. I can't wait to get back over down there in Anaheim. Sorry for people in Florida. It's not changing or whatever. You come to Disney. Come to Disneyland.
Mm-hmm.
The OG. It's the better one.
Yes, because I'm always on about technology. I'd like to end our show here today with this from Jeannie from Tahini. I miss the clicky clackiness of the 80s. Star Wars ships all have switches and dials in clickety switch snap clack. Very much. Very much agreed. Well, that is it for our news and rants.
There it is. Thank you all for tuning in live or listening later. If you're watching on YouTube later, leave us a comment that you're on the on-demand crew. We appreciate you there. You can find us on social media at ForceCenter Pod. Don't forget you can get merch at TeePublic or Fourth Wall, links down below if you're watching on YouTube. Subscribe, like the video, leave a comment, hype all those nice things to help the YouTube overlords like us once. And don't forget the podcast feeds where we air all audio episodes, but also Databank Brawl rebroadcast every Sunday. And patreon.com/ForceCenter. Follow me at Cadnapsock. If you're local, got a big show at the Hollywood Improv this Friday night, 9:45, late show. Gonna be fun. Many talented people on the show, including the wonderful Erica Rhodes. I'll be hosting it. Come on out. And Jen, thank you for being here, Princess Jasmine. Maybe we do an entire episode of your life and times as a princess in the park. Where can they find you?
You can find me on all the social media sites. I can at Jennifer Lando. I'll try and find that Chewie photo, blurry sighting of him as he ran by. Oh,
that is really sad. That is really sad. Like, don't put a Chewie out there unless kids can take photos with him.
That's right, kids and grown ladies like myself. Anyways, thank you all for listening to my rant. I really appreciate it because, like I said, you're the only ones that care. My family's like, stop talking about this, Mom.
It is definitely
Mom's going on about the rocks.
Moment, yeah.
Oh,
yeah, it's the Wendy's. Mom wants to get drunk at the park again.
With aquatic performers in a tank.
You want to go to Vegas, Jen. You want to go to, sounds like you want to go to Vegas. That's what you want to do. There you go. Joseph, thank you for leading us through a lot today on the news discussion. Great stuff as always. Where can they find you, sir?
Yeah, you can follow me on all the social media at Joseph Scrimshaw, and you can check out my website, josephscrimshaw.com, for updates on everything else I got going on. You can subscribe to my weekly blog, Let Her Finish Your Monsters, if you're interested in that. And thank you again for everyone who contributed on the live stream and for your support and awareness of what's going on in Minnesota. Thank you all so much.
That is it. We'll see you next time here on ForceCenter.